Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I know you just got told that. You'll probably hear it 3 or 4 more times. You know, for most of us, though, it's actually afternoon. You guys think about that? It's because we set the clock back. We're almost getting right to that point where, you know, I got up this morning and I was like, man, I thought I got some extra rest, but it's right around that time where we're usually, you know, we got that hour that we got, and we had some people show up a little early, and we had some people that still just kind of showed up late. You know, that's just kind of how we roll here. Before we kind of dive in today, I just want to know, do we have any movie watchers here? Or anybody in here like me that are like movie fanatics? They're like, I want to watch every movie that comes out. So, I mean, I'm not one of these guys that go to the movie theater and watch it. I prefer to watch it at my house. I like, if I'm going to spend $25 on a movie, I'd like to have the movie, the popcorn, and the soda, or whatever I'm going to be drinking and I just get all that on the comforts of my couch. But every once in a while, sometimes some things come up. So, like, certain movies come out, and we go watch them at the movie theater. You know, every once in a while, and usually those are kid movies. You know, usually those are like Toy Story 3 or whatever. You know, whatever the newer, you know, like Wreck-It Ralph is out right now. But I remember going to the movie theater during Toy Story 3, and I remember hearing all kinds of people about it. I look around, and people would be sobbing next to me at the end of the movie, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? It's a kid's movie. I mean, it's a toy. Come on, let the thing burn up." I mean, you know, they were into it. They were like, I'm like, wow, you know, or did anybody see Inception? You know, if you saw the movie Inception, it was like, man, is this a dream? Is it real? What's going on? So they can be kind of like these thrillers. They get into your mind. You look at watching, and you go, man, this is good. Then you get into one of my other favorites. And I'll say it's one of my other favorites because I was dying laughing. And it was like the 2009 Comedy Award winner. You guys know what that was? It was The Hangover. Anybody here see The Hangover?
Yeah.
Okay, see. And for you guys who didn't see it, you're like 50% of America. But 50% of America saw The Hangover. I mean, that movie, it was hilarious. But I want to tell you some things about that movie. A lot of times we don't even think about it. Did you know that in the 120 minutes of the movie, it's 2 hours long, 120 minutes, there was 91 F words, right? They dropped the F-bomb 91 times. They said the S word 41 times. They had 9 slang terms for a man's genitalia. They had 2 for a female. They had, there was 13 hells, 14 A words. There was 31 different versions of God's name in vain. And that didn't, and by the way, guys, that didn't include the sexual scenes. So all of that was done without any of the sex scenes in there. So when you look at that movie and you watch it, as though it might be funny, it was hilarious. It really was. It was funny. You look at it and go, man, that movie was funny. But sometimes we don't kind of realize the things that are kind of going on in there. No, I'm good. Thank you. We don't realize what's going on in that. We don't see what's happening. How many guys? I know that we had a UFC thing, and I love the UFC. How many of you guys know what UFC is? Some of you guys have seen it. So you might know it as cage fighting. I remember when I was a kid, I watched this thing, and I was like, you know, it was like the first ones when they didn't stop until somebody was almost dead in the ring. You know, so I remember watching those. And I'd watch it, and the dude's arm, they'd like get his arm in a lock, and all of a sudden you would see it just do something that it wasn't supposed to do. Like a Steven Seagal move where his arm was all of a sudden backwards. And you look and you go, oh, that was bad. But then you watch it again later. And you're like going, well, that wasn't so bad. I mean, he's all right. He got up and walked out. You know, sometimes the bad stuff kind of starts to ingrain itself into us, and it almost becomes acceptable. It's not okay for somebody's arm to be snapped off at the elbow. It's not okay. That's not. I mean, it's entertainment, but it's not okay. You know, if you think about this, you look at this movie. You didn't look at the movie and go, I don't remember the 91 F words. I don't remember the 31 GDs. I don't remember this. I didn't notice this. And in the UFC, we become so desensitized. We look at it and go, oh, it's not so bad. We just become so desensitized that we don't see the damage that's really happening to us. We allow these toxic influences to come in on us. We don't see the damage that's happening. We miss it. We look at it and go, yeah, that's just entertainment. And we think that we can just miss that. We think that, oh, I'm mature enough, I can take that away, I can miss that thought, I don't have to worry about it. We just think, you know what, I'm bigger than that. I understand this is entertainment. That's the excuse I say all the time. Why'd you watch The Hangover? Because it's entertainment. But really, when you look at it, it's not entertainment. Do we think, I just want you to think about something. Do we think that Satan is going to show up with his pitchfork, and he's got the all red suit on, and he looks like just a bunch of those kids that we had out here on Halloween? Do we think that he's going to show up that way? He's not, because you know that you're going to look at him and be like, I'm not messing with that dude. We know that. We know that. We see that. We go, no. I pass. But Satan works his way in by doing other things. He works his way into our lives by throwing the 31 GDs in a movie. He works his way in by just doing different things, and we become desensitized to it because we think it's almost normal. We just look at it and go, that's normal. That's what it's supposed to be. That's what people are seeing now. You know, and really what we dive in today, we're talking about toxic. And it says toxic, the definition of toxic is anything containing poisonous material capable of causing serious sickness or even death. Anything, when you look about that and you read that, that's our first slide, by the way, that's the first mark. So I don't know if we're waiting for that. Our enemy, Satan, is going to steal, kill, and destroy us. But he's not going to, we know that he's not going to come in, he's not going to show up with his pitchfork. We just know that. We know that that's not going to be there. We know that his mindset, he's going to try and sneak his way into us, just like he does in the movies, just like he does in UFC fighting. And I'm not saying that UFC is bad, and I'm not saying that you should stop doing all this stuff. What I am saying is that it's maybe a time for us to recognize what it's doing to us, what it's doing to our insides. Now, we have these issues, we have these toxic things that go on inside of us. We have these things that you look at and you go, I didn't even think about that. I heard the comment as I said it. I didn't hear that in there, or I didn't know that was in there. Let me tell you something. It's funny in The Hangover that they dropped 91 F-bombs, right? But if I was up here for 45 minutes and I dropped 91 F-bombs, you would be disrespected. You'd be like, I'm out of here. What is wrong with this dude? It's not okay. It's the same thing. It's a presentation that's being brought to us. And we just look at it and we're going, oh, it's cool. It's good. It's entertainment. It's not. It's not. It's not entertainment. It's the devil's way of getting into us. Especially because we just sit there and we don't even recognize it. We don't see it. We just look at it and just go, yeah, that was good. That was a great movie. Let's buy that one on DVD. I'm going to get it on the Blu-ray extended cut version. See what else is bad is on it. Because that's what we do. I have it that way. If you guys want to borrow it, let me know. I got it. You know what I mean? Guys, I want you to think about something. Child molesters don't show up and just snatch kids most of the time. They groom them, and they spend time with them. They're like, here's some candy. Here's this, here's that. They don't just come in and show up and be like, here, come with me. And, no, they don't do that. Those are called kidnappers. We're talking about we're talking about people that destroy children for their lives, for the rest of their lives. They groom them, just like we're being groomed right now. Everything that goes on around us, we're being groomed. Think about the potentially toxic influences that we have in our lives. What shows up in your mailbox? There's magazines. Some of us have music that we shouldn't be listening to. There's stuff. I grew up listening to Ice Cube, and I listened to NWA, and I listened to that. They would kill the police. There was so much back then. You look at it and go, why was I listening to that stuff? What was going through my mind? My wife goes, why are you listening? Do you understand the words? No, the beat. I like the beat. I like what's going on. The beat is what gets us hooked into it, and then the words just kind of start coming in. Because after a while, you guys ever notice? I don't like this song. Right. It's got a good beat. It's got a good hook. It's got a good drop. That's good. I like it. Then all of a sudden, the music will play one time, and you know all the words. You just start singing it. You're like going, it's like Vanilla Ice's Ice Ice Baby came on. You're like, you just know all the words to it. You're like, man, I hated that song. Not really. That song ingrained into you. It can play 20 years later. You'll know it and you'll be like, man, I know that song. Be into it. You'll be on it. You'll be like, man, that's good. That's how it works. That's how it gets ingrained into us. That's how it becomes part of our DNA. We just allow stuff to just kind of build into us and we go, it's just entertainment. It's not entertainment. Sometimes it's the internet. Sometimes it's social media. Some of us are so addicted to social media, we know everything that's going on with everybody except for the people in our house because we're so busy on the computer that we don't even acknowledge the people when they walk in the door. They walk in, and keep plugging away on the keyboard. You just don't even care. You're like, oh, whatever, you're good. And kids are upstairs, go deal with them. You know, I mean, that's how it is. That's how some families are. That's how some households are. You know, guys, when you think about it and you look at it, just everything that's going on and the influences that are out there. How many of you guys get a magazine? You know, I know a pastor friend of mine gets Surfer magazine. And him and I had a conversation, and I said, you know, my wife gets upset because I get Maxim. And he goes, yeah, but you know, the women in the Surfer magazine are much more naked than the ones in Maxim. I said, so what are you getting that magazine for? I mean, I'm trying to figure this out. Are you reading about surfing, or are you trying to, you know? I said, at least me, I think the magazine's funny. You know, my wife, most of the time, she sees that coming to the mail, I goes right in the garbage can. And I don't get mad about it. I bought a 5-year subscription or something. I must have, because it just keeps coming and coming and coming. And she asked me, she goes, did you pay to have this renewed? No, I haven't. She's been coming like 6 years, and we haven't paid any money for it. And I go, I don't know. But that's how it goes. They try and ingrain them. They try, you know. Where else are you going to get a magazine for free, except for it's the devil's work? And trust me, they usually put you in collections after 6 years. Usually they're going, we want our $84 for this magazine. Are you serious? I didn't even order it, man. That's how it is. How many of you guys get kids that have video games that are just full of bang bang shoot 'em up? Every game, they're in there and they're just shooting. They're even on, you know, they get this Xbox Live. You guys ever see a kid that's on Xbox Live? They talk more. They talk so much crap through this little thing. I can only imagine. You know, I've listened. I've overheard people, and I'm like going, "You don't know who's on the other side of that thing." Oh, it sounds like a 10-year-old. That 10-year-old might be some dude that's getting ready to come over here and just murder you for all the stuff that you've been saying. Because they become like these. All of a sudden, they get on this game and their Xbox, and they become Xbox warriors, and they're like huge. They think that they're all of a sudden they're my size, and they can just take on anything. They're like, yeah, come on, bring it over here. I got, you know. I mean, this is weird. You listen to these influences that people bring on themselves. You know, it tells us, like a muddy spring or a polluted well, this righteous man who gives way to the wicked. That's Proverbs 25:26. Like a muddy spring or a polluted well, is a righteous man who gives way to the wicked. Wow. Let's think about that. Let's think about that a little bit. The righteous man who allows stuff to just kind of be polluted into their lives, who allows all these different toxins to come in. It's like a muddy spring. It's just dirty. You're not going to want to drink from it. You don't want to get in it. You don't want to be near it. You're just like, it's good. You guys, years ago I used to go to Clear Lake. You know, when the water was clean. You know, the water, the water was clear. It was kind of amazing. That's why it was called Clear Lake. I went up there a few years ago, you know, and when we showed up, and I said, is this the same lake? It was green. It was just a weird color. It was nasty. It smelled. There was like something wrong. And you just look at it and you go, I'm not getting in that. I'm not even going to get in on a boat that's going to get into that. There's no way for me to. I would feel dirty. I would feel nasty getting into that. That's how we are when people see these toxins in our lives. They don't want to be even around us. You know, I mean, just imagine something. And some of us are fighting this. You just imagine that if everybody in here, if every guy was just surfing internet porn all the time, and every girl in here knew that, how many of us guys are going to just want to hang out with us all the time? They're not going to want to hang out with us because they're going to look at us and they're going to go, you're going to treat me like an object. They're not going to want to be around us. They're not going to want to deal with it. They're just going to be like, I don't want to be near you. Because we've muddied the waters. We've made it seem like something's going on inside of us, or we've become attracted to something, and it's like, that's not the case. Sometimes we just do things and we don't even realize what happened. We look at it and go, we just have to be able to move past it. So, there's 3 things that we need to remember. A little bit of poison goes a long way. A little bit of poison goes a long way. You know, and in 1 Corinthians, it tells us, it said, don't you know that a little yeast works its way through the whole batch of dough? Get rid of the old yeast so that you may have a new batch without yeast as you really are. You know, guys, a little bit, just digs itself into us. A little bit does. You know, here, I'm going to do a little bit here. I'm going to do a little bit there. It's like when we have a problem with spending money. We have this addiction. I'm just going to buy this. Well, no, we got to get that too. We got to get that. We got to get this. We got to get that. And all of a sudden, we look at it and go, we're broke. We're trying to figure out how to get out of this hole. Or maybe it's internet porn. And you just look at, I'll just check it out maybe once a month. And all of a sudden, that once a month addiction becomes 3 times a day. You know, or maybe it's drinking. And you go, I'll just have 1 glass a night. And that 1 glass a night turns into a keg a week. You know, guys, I mean, there's a little bit ends up rolling into a lot. It always happens. It's just not one of those things that we get. And it says a little bit of poison goes a long way. You know, if this is going to sound pretty bad, okay? But if I was making brownies, okay? If I was making dishes, I was at home, I was in a baking mood, and I just said, hey, I want to make some brownies. My dog came in and ate out of, you know, we've already started cooking brownies, but he ate out of half of the brownie, right? Out of the brownie mix. He got a little taste, but you just witnessed him eating some cat poop.
That's extra.
But we looked at it and said, hey, we're just going to cook those up anyway. We're just going to cook them, right? Would you be willing to eat any brownies?
No.
Any brownies? Would you be like, you would just look at it and be like, oh, nah, I think it's good. I'm not eating any of them. I'm not going to eat any of the ones that you even made beforehand, because who knows what you put in that? You know, that's how we're going to be. That's our mindset. We have to look at it. We have to go, a little bit of it, just a little bit. No, it's not like somebody actually went up there and just, you know, defecated right into the brownie mix. No. That's not what happened. What happened is the dog licked a little bit of the bowl. It sounds really bad. I told you it was going to sound bad. I'm sorry. But a little bit goes so long. I mean, so you're going to be like, no, I'm not even eating at your house ever again. I don't even want a sealed Coke can, dude. Just stay away from me. Because you would find it would be weird. You'd be like, no, we're good. You know. Think about it this way. You know, bachelorette party. They go out, and I don't care if it's a bachelor party or a bachelorette party. They go out, and you ever notice that the friend always gets a shirt that says, you know, hot lady, or, you know, last single night, or whatever. And all of a sudden, the inhibitions get dropped. All of a sudden, things start changing. And usually it involves alcohol too, right? Alcohol gets involved, and all of a sudden, and then all of a sudden, the week before, the day before, whatever, before your marriage, you've done something that you truly regret. You've kind of tainted your marriage before you even started. I'm not saying that bachelor parties or bachelorette parties are bad. But sometimes we let little things explode into big things. You know, sometimes we just go too far. You know, sometimes we have some people that we get into these, they go, oh, I love reading. You do love reading. What do you love reading? I love reading romance novels. Are you talking about the ones that have sex from page 86 to 320? You know, is that the ones you're talking about? Because that's what a lot of people do. They read these romance novels, and it's really just, I mean, they might as well be opening a Playboy or whatever it is. It's a little, and we turn it into a lot, and we have to get out of that mindset. We have to get away from it. You know, and it's one of these things that we were always told as a kid. You know, your parents you've probably heard this before. Your parents go, hey, just because everybody's jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge, are you going to do it too? You've heard that, right? And that's really our next thing. It's our next thing to remember is just because everyone is doing it doesn't make it right. And it really is. When you read Romans 12:2, it says, do not be so well adjusted to your culture that you fit into without even thinking. Instead, fix your attention on God. You'll be changed from the inside out. Readily recognize what He wants from you and quickly respond to it. Unlike the culture around you, always dragging you down to its level of immaturity, God brings out the best of you, develops a well-formed maturity in you, and that's Romans 12:2. You might be wondering where I got that from. That's from the Message. So it might not read what you have right there. But guys, do not conform to what's going on around you. Do not conform. Think about it. we should look different. We should actually be different. We should be, as Christians, our lifestyle should be different. If people look at you and they go, they're just like everybody else, then you're not living like a Christian. It's very simple. If you look just like everybody else, and you're doing everything else that everybody else is doing, then you're not living like a Christian. You're not, and I'll tell you, you may not even be a Christian. Because to be a Christian is to follow Christ. To follow Christ, to be like Christ, to want to be like Christ, to grow every day more and more to be like Him. And if we just continue doing what everybody else is doing, we already know that the gate is wide. The path is narrow that leads to heaven. So if we're walking, if we're doing what everybody else is doing, well, obviously we're not on the narrow path. Guys, and I'm sorry to break that reality, but we have to change. We have to get off of the wide path, and we have to get on the narrow path. What does that mean? What does that look like? It means loving. That means giving to your neighbor. That means being self-sacrificial. That means giving up stuff. That means I don't have to have everything. I don't need the best. I want the best, but I don't need that. I'm willing to give it up. I'm willing to give. I'm willing to give to my neighbor. I'm willing to love when they don't love me. Guys, how often do we do that? How often do we even look at our neighbor and go, wonder what's going on over there, I want to go help them out. Most of the time, it's like, get your stuff out of my yard. Get your dog out of my yard. Get whatever it is. That's how it is most of the time. Instead of going over and be like, hey, let me help you fix the fence, because your dog keeps going in my yard, and I want my dog to kill it. We have to look at things a little differently. We have to take some of the stuff that we've just come natural to us and just go, you know what, I'm just going to let it go. That's not what we're called to do. Because, Cameron put one of these things on Facebook a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I'm kind of one of those Facebook junkies myself. He put this thing on there, and he did say that anger is an option. One of those things that Jesus did do, I don't know if you guys remember, is that he goes into the temple and he starts flipping tables over, and he goes a little nuts. He goes in there and he's saying, guys, anger is part of life. That doesn't mean that we can't be upset about things. But he didn't stop loving them. He didn't come out and go, hey, no. You turned this worship place into a money changing house. Now we're going to pick it up. All of you guys, you're out. He didn't do that. He flipped over the tables. He said, fix this situation. And then he continued loving them. It's the same thing we need to do. So we do with our kids, right? We don't take our kids and go, oh, no, you're out. See you later. You stole the car again. What are we going to do? We forgive our kids. Just like our Father forgives us. Just like our Father in heaven forgives us. Just like we should forgive everybody else. Because when we harbor things, and we hold things, and we make it to where we are unforgivable, it's hard. It really is. It's hard to be a Christian. And we can't continue to do what everybody else is doing. We have to travel the narrow road. We have to be on our own road. We have to be on this road where people should look at us and go, there is something different about him. Or there's something different about her. And there's something different about what they do. Why do they do that? How can they do that? What do they, and we just need to be there. And the last one of these last things we need to remember is, just because I could doesn't mean I should. Guys, I can get in my car and I can go jump in my truck and I can drive 90 miles an hour right up this street right here. And that doesn't, just because I can, doesn't mean I should. What happens if a little kid runs out? I don't care how good the brakes are in your car. You're doing 90, you're running that kid over. Just because you can doesn't mean that you should always do something. Just because you can have an affair doesn't mean that you should have an affair. Just because, you can do a lot of things. Guys, there's so much we can do. We can flirt with people. We can do different things. Just because we can do that, we have that ability to do that, doesn't mean we should be doing it. Guys, we are designed for so many things that are bigger than the earthly temptations that are here right now. We have to look at it, we have to be bigger. We have to look at it and go, you know what, I can fight that. I can stay away from that temptation. In 1 Corinthians 6:12, it tells us, everything is permissible for me, but not everything is beneficial. everything is permissible for me, but I will not be mastered by anything. Because how many of us are being mastered by some, whatever it's addiction or whatever it is? How many things are stopping us from being the people that we're truly called to be? What is stopping you from being the Christian you've been called to be, the leader you've been called to be, the person that's going to love one another? What is stopping you from doing that? Because it's something here. It's something in your heart right now. Something is stopping you from doing what you're supposed to be. We get very legalistic at times. And we start talking about stuff. We have to get past all that. The Bible tells us very clearly that there's two things that we're supposed to do. And it's not very legalistic, it's very simple. And it tells us that we're supposed to love others, and we're supposed to love God. And we really can't do one without the other. We really can't. Because it's hard. If we don't know how to love other people, then how are we ever going to love God? And if we can't love God, then how are we going to love people? They go hand in hand. And really, if you think about that, you just take it, and it's not legalistic, it's not anything else, it's one of those things, so it's very simple. And I think as adults, most of us are wise enough to figure out what it means to love one another. And we're not talking about relationship love, we're not talking about, hey, let's go home and let's be married couple love. That's not what we're referring to here. We're talking about a true love where you want to help one another. A family type of love, a bond. And guys, we just look at it and we go, we're too good for that. I don't know that person, or I don't know that person. Because do you know that every day I get this opportunity, I try and say hello to everybody who I come in contact with. Literally everybody. They'll be walking along and be, hey, how you doing? And sometimes they're like, I'm good, and they just keep mashing. But sometimes they stop and they want to talk and they want to spend some time with you. Because nobody else asked them how they were doing. Everybody else just puts their head down and keeps walking. Don't talk to me. I don't have time for you. Guys, we need to make that buffer, that time buffer in our days, so we can love on people. We need to have a buffer. We need to have this 15 minutes where we know, I've got this time where I'm able to actually communicate with people. I'm able to take time with people instead of I'm in so much of a hurry that I can't even say hello to my neighbor. I've got so much stuff to do today that I can't say, hey, how you doing? My life is so busy, so out of control, that you don't even matter. And that's how we are. That's how our life is. That's how our life is going right now. We're just way out of control. And people can tell. Because even when you do say hello, you're short with them. Hey, how you doing? I'm good. I wanted to talk to you. And then we're like, I really don't have time to talk to you. I just said hello to you because I was trying to be nice. Guys, what would it look like if we actually loved one another? Could you imagine what it would look like? Could you imagine what this community would look like if people loved one another? Could you imagine? We had this event here on Wednesday night. If you were here, you got to see, even though it was only an hour, because we got rained on. But we would have kept going. We even stayed out a little longer. But guys, 200 people? 200 people here that have never been in contact with us. That have never met us, that have never... And they came out, it's a church event. No. It's a public event. Come in. Please. I heard that it's a church event so many times. No. It's public. Please come in. It's not anything about that. Go get a hot dog. Go get some popcorn. Go get a bottle of water. Hang out. Play in the bounce houses. Are the bounce houses open for everybody? No, they're just open for church people. No, of course they're open for everybody. They're in the middle of a park. Go get in there. Yeah. Guys, it's about loving. It's not about having some sort of ulterior motive. It's not about going and doing something different. It's about loving our community. The song we did, we are the light. How we act is how people look at us, and they look right at us and they go, well, that's what it means to be a Christian, huh? That's cool. I just won't change what I'm doing. I'll continue doing exactly what I do now, because there's no difference in what I do now than what that Christian does. So obviously I'm saved as well. That's not the case, guys. We have to be the light. We have to be the leader. We have to show them, hey, look, this is how we do things. This is how we get in, and this is how we have eternal life. They don't get it by watching a hangover. They don't get it from watching dudes break each other's arms. We don't get it from, just from watching massive amounts of internet porn. We don't get it from disrespecting our families. We don't get it from not paying attention to our families. We don't get it from these different things. We get it from loving one another and loving God, and then also doing that with our community. Amen. How do we know which influences are good or not? I don't know. You know, we look at this and it goes, some things are really obvious, right? I mean, you know, how do we know, like, should I watch this movie and it's Debbie Does Your Hometown? You know, I mean, is that let's all watch that movie. We're going to sell tickets to that one. You know, should I hang out here? Is there drugs going on? Is there, you know, they knocking off banks? Whatever's going on. You know, and then you go, well, should I go to this party or should I go hang out with these guys? And you walk in and the first thing they go is they go, hey, we're going to do some shots before heading out to the strip club. Maybe I don't want to be here. You know, how do we know? How do we know? There are some things that aren't so obvious. There's some things that may be dangerous for you, but they're not dangerous for me. You know, I'm going to give you a perfect example, and I'm going to point Ellen out. Because Ellen has this thing where she goes to San Francisco and she roams the Tenderloin on Friday nights. Right? She goes out there and she prays with homeless people. I will tell you right now, I'm not going to the Tenderloin, okay? Because I am. I like my limbs. And no, guys, there's certain things that are not safe for certain people. It's just an honest thing. I'm a Niners fan. Me going to the Raiders black hole, not safe. It's just not. You go there, I might come home beat up and bloody. You know, it's just not a safe place. But if you're a Raiders fan, they're going to love having you there. They're like, yeah, come on down here, we'll pinch you up too. You'd be like, all right, let's do it. You know, let your conscience be your guide. The problem is that most of our conscience is scared. Sometimes we're scared about letting people down. Sometimes we're scared about what people are going to think. Sometimes we're scared about whatever it is. We have this thing that goes, I worry about what people think about me. Instead of worrying about what really matters, and we talked about it last week, we need to worry about what God thinks about us. We need to worry about, God, what do you think? How do you feel about this? How do you feel about me going off and doing this? How do you feel about me taking shots and going to the strip club? How do you feel about this? How do you feel? Let's think about that. And really, that's when we ask this. And it says here, it says in the Bible, 1 Thessalonians 5, 21 to 22, it says, test everything and hold on to the good. Avoid every kind of evil. And it says to ask yourself, am I being entertained by sin? Am I being entertained by sin? And it really goes, is it funny? But is it racist? Because I've had people look at it, they got a great joke, and then they just start looking around. What are you looking for? What are you looking for? I mean, really, what do you look back for? Are you waiting for somebody to come sock you in the mouth? Because if you said something that deserves you to get socked in the mouth, I don't want to hear it. I really don't. That's not something I want to be part of. I don't want to be part of your racist, funny joke. You know, that's just not me. You know, the next thing is this pleasing to God? Is this pleasing to God? And what am I doing pleasing to God? Guys, I'll tell you right now, hanging out in strip clubs is not pleasing to God. I'll tell you right now is that not paying attention to your family is not pleasing to God. I'll tell you right now, not giving 100% at your job is not pleasing to God. If you have a job, give 100%. I don't care what it is. I don't care what your job is. If you're a fry cook at McDonald's, give 100%. It doesn't matter. You are giving that job where a lot of people are looking for jobs. You were given that. You were given this faucet, this revenue. And I will tell you right now that if you're good at that, and you work your way up, I will tell you right now, McDonald's managers and Taco Bell managers, they make grip. They make $75,000, $80,000 a year to run a Taco Bell, to run a McDonald's. In case you didn't know that, don't be thinking about no career change, because you got to start as a fry cook. Guys, they make a lot of money. They do. But give 100%. Do what is pleasing to God. The next one is does this lure me away from Christ? You know, when we're doing something, does it take our mindset away from where it's supposed to be at? Where are we at? Where's our mindset at? What are we doing? What do we need to change? Sometimes things need to change. Things need to change dramatically because it takes us away from who we're supposed to be following. You know, we just need to start paying attention to what we are doing on a much greater scale. We really do. Sometimes we believe stuff really isn't poison, and it is. Sometimes we think we can balance out the poison with good stuff, and we can't. Sometimes we just continue to think that, you know what, I'm able, and I can do it. And we've already learned that when we try and do things without Christ involved in our lives, that it doesn't work. We've learned that every time we try and do stuff, and it's just us, our own power, is that we fail, and we end up looking up going, God, why did this happen? Well, because you fell to earthly temptations. Because you were so worried about having the best truck, or having the best car, or having this, or having the best house, or having all these different things, when none of that ever mattered except for loving others and loving God. Nothing else matters. But we have this mindset where everything else matters. Where it's just, I got to have this, and I got to have this, and I got to have the best of this, the best. We got to change our mindset. We have to change what we're doing. We have to change how we do things. You know, guys, as we're going to start wrapping up, and one of these things I want to ask you to do, because a lot of times we go, how close can I get to the line? And what I want you to do is, I want you to change your mindset a little bit. Just try it for a week. Let's see what happens. Just 1 week. Change your mindset. And instead of seeing how close I get to the line, how close can I stay to God? Write that down. Instead of saying, how close can I get to this line? You know, we always want to test the line. You know, well, it's right there. So, you know, I'm going to put my foot, and I'm going to, you know, I might even get this thing where, no. We always do that. You get right to the line, and then we go, well, I got to get a little closer. Instead of getting to that point, why don't we say, how close can I stay to God? The line's way over there. Let me stay over here. Let me stay as far away from that line as I possibly can. That's good. Let's try it for a week. See what happens. 7 days. Right? We can all do 7 days, can't we? Yeah. 7 days isn't hard. How much closer? You know, I'm going to give you what that kind of looks like a little bit. It looks like we read our Bible. It looks like we spend some time in prayer. 7 days. 7 days. Get up in the morning and spend some time with God. Spend 7 days. That's all it takes. And just watch how things start to change. Watch how things start to change around you. Watch how your relationships start to change in your household. It's great. I'm telling you, 7 days. That's all we're going to start with. And then next week we'll make a commitment for another 7 days, or maybe 14 days, or whatever it is. Let's just start with 7. And just watch what happens. Watch how things change. So let's close with prayer. Father, thank you so much for this time that we've gotten to spend with you today. We've got this opportunity to just kind of, sometimes we look at things and we know the obvious and that's the stuff that's wrong. Yeah, sometimes we just look at the things that are just every day around us and that they're so tired that just we're numb to it. We just don't even recognize it's bad. God, you know, we need these messages to help clear that up sometimes. Give us the courage to recognize that and make changes and to start anew, to start something different, to start to try and do something a little different. Help me love my neighbor. Help me love you. Help me spend time with you this week. God, help me stay away from the line of sin and temptation. Help me stay as close to you as possible. Help me stay in this relationship with you, and help me stay in this community that you call church. And all this we pray in your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.